It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon, and we're sitting in the house of Arthur and Arleen Jolley at 721 Bryant Street in Stroudsburg. Okay, Arthur, first of all, tell me, how did you get to Stroudsburg? Were you born here?
I was conceived here, but I was born in the Methodist Episcopal Hospital in Brooklyn because my grandparents wanted the same doctor who delivered my mother to deliver me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and then I came here in a laundry basket at the age of 2 weeks.
But your parents were living in Stroudsburg.
Yes.
So how did they get here? How did they wind up in Stroudsburg?
My mother's family came here, basically they came first from New York to Easton, where my grandfather was a baker, and from there they moved to East Stroudsburg. My paternal grandparents moved first to the Catskills, and from the Catskills to East Stroudsburg.
So let me go back just a second. Give me the name of your parents, please.
My parents, Irving and Ida Jallowsky originally.
Changed to Jolley, Jolley.
That's correct.
Okay, and how about your paternal
Paternal grandparents, he was a mattress maker, and he was the originator of the Stroudsburg Bedding Company.
Oh, really? What was his name?
His name was Sholem, and his wife's name was Rachel.
So that's your grandmother?
Yeah, my paternal
grandmother.
My father was the only son of 6 children. My father had 5 sisters.
Oh, wow. Where did he come from?
My father?
Yeah.
Well, he moved with his family from the Catskills.
To here?
To here.
Do you know when they came to Stroudsburg?
I think both sets of grandparents came here in the 20s, early 20s.
So let's make sure we have the names, first of all. Your father's name was? Irving Jolley, and your mother's name?
Ida.
And your grandparents, the Chiots. This is the one that is so well known.
Lottie and Kusile Chayat.
And they were your maternal grandparents?
Maternal grandparents.
Okay. Yeah. And your grandfather was a baker?
That's right.
Did he have a business here in town? Did he work for somebody else?
He had the White Rose Bakery in East Stroudsburg, which ran about 30 baker trucks out of that bakery in East Stroudsburg. They delivered to the hotels at that time, the camps, even door to door.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the milkman.
I know they came up to Hawley as well. I think White Rose was up there.
Yeah.
And where did he learn to be a baker? Where did that come from?
I guess he learned it as a child in Europe before he came here.
And where did he come from in Europe?
He came from either Minsk.
Minsk or Pinsk?
Yeah, I think that's where they came from originally.
Now, you have 2 children. You and Arleen have 2 children,
right.
A girl and a boy, I guess.
Right.
Tell us their names, please.
Our son's name is Ira, and my daughter's name is Lisa. Ira is living in the Atlanta, Georgia area, actually in Roswell, Georgia, a suburb of Atlanta. He is married to Kathy. They have 2 daughters, age 6 and 3.
Your grandchildren?
My grandchildren.
Is Lisa older than Ira?
Lisa is the younger of the
two. She is?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was the older one. Well, since you were practically born in Stroudsburg, at least you came here
I claim to be a native.
As an infant. Well, Lester told me that his mother told him he was probably the first Jew born in Stroudsburg, whatever that means. So you must have been a member of Temple Israel from the outset, from the time you grew up.
Well, my grandparents belonged to the temple. In fact, before the first synagogue was built in East Stroudsburg, my understanding is that they used to congregate in my maternal grandparents' apartment above the bakery.
Where was the bakery?
The bakery was on South Cortlandt Street in East Stroudsburg.
Oh, East Stroudsburg. So that would have been the services before the new temple, new meaning the one on Brown Street.
Before the Brown Street Temple.
Okay, so do you remember going to Hebrew school, or what age you started to go to Hebrew school?
Oh, yeah. Went to Hebrew school from the time from early public grade school. And Kurt Weimer was the rabbi. And
can you give us a date, approximate date? 36, 37?
let's see, I was born in 34, so I would guess probably 1940 when I would start.
So Kurt was the rabbi at that time.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was here from about 37 on.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you remember any of the rabbis or the people who taught you in Hebrew school? Was it a rabbi? Was it some lay person or what?
To the best of my memory, it was just Kurt Weimer.
Oh, really?
Just Rabbi Weimer, yeah.
And what did he teach you?
Taught us to read Hebrew, to write the Hebrew. We also had Sunday school as well as Hebrew school where we learned history. He covered pretty much all the bases, but there were far fewer children then here than there are today.
How many would you say were in your class?
5 or 6.
Oh, that's all?
That's all.
You remember the names?
Sure. Starting with the girls, let's see, there was Ruthie Jaffe, Hellman.
Ernie Hellman.
Bernie Hellman's youngest sister, the youngest sister. The name will come to me eventually. My aunt, Debbie Zubau, who was Debbie Chiat at the time.
She was in class with you? Really?
Yeah, she's only 2.5, 3 years older than me. She was a late in life baby. There was the 2 Feinsilber brothers, Myron and Marshall. There was Jack Howard, Jack Birnbaum, Sam Newman.
Oh, you were all together in the same class?
We were pretty much around the same age. I recall distinctly that Myron Feinsilber, myself, and Jack Howard were all bar mitzvahed within a 6-week period. We were about 2 weeks apart in each bar mitzvah.
And Kurt taught you, prepared you for bar mitzvah? And what did you do at your bar mitzvah?
We did everything at our bar mitzvah. The entire Friday night service, not just the Kiddush, the whole service. We did the Saturday morning service. We read from the Torah. Oh yeah, we did the whole thing.
How long were you preparing for that?
Well, as I say, I guess we started at probably around the age of 5.
What do you mean? So you worked your way up to 13?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Kurt must have been a good teacher.
Oh yeah, very good. He used to have recess. At recess, we played soccer in the social hall in the temple, which was the lower level. I remember he used to push his desk against the stage, and that was the goal on one end. The goal at the other end was the double doors, and the soccer ball was a block of wood.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how we broke up the afternoon. But
how long a time did you go to Hebrew school? I mean, during the day, how much time did you spend in the class?
Well, we came from public school right to Hebrew school.
So that was in the afternoon.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us any anecdotes? Remember anything particular about other people or what Kurt might have done or some funny incidents?
Oh yeah, Kurt has his hands full. Kurt back in those days didn't have a car, and I don't think he even had a driver's license. He used to live at a boarding house on Washington Street owned by a lady by the name of Sadie Nadelman. And the Rabbi Kurt Weimer, used to ride his bicycle all the way to Portland to teach the Ephros boys and ride back on a bicycle. Did he have? Yeah. Jack Birnbaum was he was a tough student. His father was the president of the temple at the time.
David Birnbaum.
David, his father David. Jack really didn't like to go to Hebrew school. None of us really liked to go, but Jack really disliked it. He would be sent, as punishment, he'd be sent to the kitchen in the old shul. And he'd be in there for some time until he got disgusted and he decided to leave, and he'd climb up on the table and crawl out through a transom window.
Was he that small?
To leave. So there was always a problem with Jack and whose father was the president and the rabbi about Jack's misbehavior. But all in all, our social life back in those years, the Jewish family social life revolved around the temple. Saturday nights, that's where families went. They went to the temple. didn't have a lot of money to go to the movies. There was no television, and that's where we went. The kids played games. The parents played games as well, card games and so on. And our social life back in those years revolved around the temple.
So Jack told me something about Mr. Newman, Sam Newman's father, was in the candy
Morris,
business.
yeah.
And he used to do something with the children on Saturday. Will you remember anything about that? With candy?
Well, I don't have any recall.
No. Maybe it was just Jack then. He said that Sam's father used to give the kids candy on Saturday.
It's very possible. It's very possible. But for some reason, I don't recall.
Let's go back just a bit to your own background. You are presently in the real estate business.
Right.
And you were in the car business.
Right.
And that was your father's business before you, I take it?
Correct.
Okay. And now you're retired from that. I remember a video that someone, I think Ed Crowitz did some time ago, and you mentioned something about your mother underneath the stage in the movie house. Do you recall that? Can you tell us, please?
The Grand Theater, which is now the Pocono Cinema.
In East Stroudsburg.
In East Stroudsburg. My mother told me the story about how she and Maynard Abelhoff, when they were children, crawled in through the back of the theater, under the stage, and they could look out between the slits in the boards at a Ku Klux Klan meeting. And she said they recognized a whole lot of faces when these people pulled their hoods off at this
They
meeting.
were in hoods, really?
They were in hoods.
Oh, wow.
And she said they laid in there what seemed to be for hours on end, fearful that if they tried to get out of there, they'd make a noise and get caught. But she still had remembered being under there and seeing these people whom she recognized.
I guess everybody I've spoken with recorded the same thing, that there was a lot of anti-Semitism in Stroudsburg.
Oh, a whole lot.
You mentioned something once about your school, when you went to school or a school bus. Tell us about that.
I had no problems in the early grades, kindergarten, first grade, second, third, fourth. Not until I got to the fifth grade did I really face anti-Semitism, primarily led by the principal of the school.
Principal?
The principal.
That's nice.
I could or couldn't, don't have to mention his name, whatever. Anything that went wrong in that school was automatically my fault.
Really?
He threw things at me when I jumped up and left the classroom and ran down over the bank behind the Clearview School with he in chase. It was a nightmare. This carried on. I didn't have any problem with my fellow students at that time until these things started to occur by the principal. Then I started to get picked on by the other kids. Then I became the bad guy. Riding home on the school bus, any disturbance on that school bus automatically was my fault. The bus was stopped. It could have been a blizzard, and I remember vividly being put off in a snowstorm.
Really?
Put off the school bus because of a disturbance on the school bus. Whether I was guilty or not had no bearing. I was the Jew. It had to be my fault. I dealt with this for just a few years until I got into high school. High school, I guess I gained everybody's respect that I wasn't a bad guy, and eventually I was elected senior class president at Stroudsburg High School, first Jewish person ever.
Were any of
by
those...
the same kids who picked on me years prior.
So you went through school with them, and
yeah.
they changed.
Oh yeah.
What do you attribute that to? Do you think your own character?
Probably either my own character, or they have come, or they came to learn that maybe everything that they heard wasn't necessarily true.
That sounds good for the human nature.
Yeah.
How about when you were in business? Did you find this to be a problem?
Yeah. Early on, when I first went into business, I was in my early 20s, fresh out of the Army. My dad had already passed away, and I was the kid in the business, and all the others were, of course, veterans and much older. And there there was a couple of dealers who said, "Oh, you don't want to buy a car from that Jew. He's young and he probably won't even be there when you have to go back for service." So I had to prove myself once again, and a lot of work and a lot of perseverance, but it could be done. The bright side of the coin is my children did not face anti-Semitism. At least they never told me they did, as they went through the same school system, which to me shows that we're gaining ground someplace.
You were at some...
I had a touch of it in the service. In basic training.
When did you go in the Army?
Went in the Army in 1955.
You were drafted?
Yeah. Went to basic training in Camp Gordon in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. I was the only one from this area who stayed at Fort Jackson. All the others who went in with me were shipped to Fort Knox, Kentucky. So I was left behind to take basic training with the 101st Airborne Infantry. Bunch of animals.
So you had to jump out of airplanes?
No, we didn't have to jump, but they browbeat us into signing for jump school almost on a daily basis. The training was brutal. We had a lot of guys drop dead in basic training.
Really?
Oh yeah. They took away our water. They took away salt tablets, wanted to see how we could take it. And it didn't matter how many guys died. The commanding general said, "I said a week, and the week isn't up yet." While I was in basic training, came Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Names. It was announced that names would be posted on the on the company bulletin board of those soldiers who would be excused for the high holidays. I looked at the board. My name was left off the list. So I went in and spoke to the first sergeant, wanted permission to speak with the company commander, and he said, "You don't get past me until you tell me your problem." I said, "My problem is you left my name off the list." He said, "Oh, no. He said, "I have 10 names on that list, and there is no company that has more than 10 Jews in the company." And he said, "Don't tell me somebody's trying to punish me with 11 guys." I said, "I'm awful sorry for you, Sergeant. If you'd like to look at my dog tags, if you want to look at my records, somebody doesn't like you, they gave you 11 Jews." He wasn't happy about it, but I think he survived.
How'd you resolve that problem?
He added my name to the list.
He did?
Yeah.
Grudgingly, probably.
And he felt that somebody someplace didn't like him. They gave him 11 Jews. But other than that, we had no problem. A bunch of us got together and we did the best we could to have some sort of a service. And
you had a facility in the chapel, I imagine.
Yeah, but other than that, we had no problems.
I guess if I asked you how important was Temple Israel in your life, it was pretty much the center of your life, would it be?
The very first thing I did when I came out of the service was join the temple as a single man.
What year was that, 57?
57, yeah.
And you've been a member, well actually you were a member from the time you were a child.
Well, basically, I guess, yeah.
But as a dues-paying member when you came out of the
right.
service?
In fact, is my family, I can say, grandparents, parents, me, my children were bar and bat mitzvah there. I guess we were the 4th generation to be members as such, dues paying or just bar and bat mitzvah of this congregation. We're the first 4th-generation family.
So your grandfather was not a founding member of the temple, but he came here after?
I think he was. I think my maternal grandparents were. I think on that plaque in the temple you'll find their name.
Okay. Now, you grew up in Stroudsburg. You were a part of Temple Israel for all of your life. You did hold office.
Yes.
What was your office?
My first job was house chairman, and I went directly from house chairman to president. As a matter of fact, skipped all the other chairs.
When did you become president? I can look it up on the board.
I really don't recall. I don't recall.
So what are some of the problems that you encountered when you were president?
We all had problems of one sort or another. My first challenge was on the night that I was installed, my predecessor, Larry Green, in his outgoing speech, announced to the congregation that the Constitution would be changed. This was never discussed previously at any other meeting. He announced that the Constitution would be changed and women would be given equal rights and voting privileges. Took me totally off guard. And
he did announce that.
He announced that at part of his outgoing speech, and now it's my turn, and I was not prepared to respond to that. But life goes on, and you have to.
How did you respond?
The very first thing I said, and Charlie Kahn always reminds me of it. My first statement was, "I come from a long line of very short, very nervous people." So please be gentle with me. Anyway, we did deal with it. We did write a new Constitution with a lot of effort on a lot of people's parts to come up with a new Constitution, and we did proceed from there. The next challenge was. I came into a meeting one night and I announced that we're going to have a building program, and it totally caught people off guard as well. The main structural beam that runs through the temple was exposed to the weather where our new entrance room is now.
Excuse me, we're talking now about the temple on Wallace Street.
The temple on Wallace Street, yeah.
You were never president of the congregation on Brown Street.
No,
you would have been too young.
So the area from the parking lot into the temple on Wallace Street, that was just a patio, and it had a roof, but there were areas of that roof that were open because we built a sukkah in there.
There were two skylights there, as I recall.
Right. They were not enclosed skylights; they were just open. And they were open at the area of the main beam where it came through the building to the outside. And we put some metal up there at one time or another, and that beam was starting to rot. And the problem was that was the main structural beam. So I announced that we would have to enclose that patio, create another room out there in order to maintain that beam.
We're talking now about what is Founders Hall.
What is now Founders Hall. And of course that created quite a rhubarb, and I insisted that it was going to eventually become structurally unsafe if we did not do something. So I appointed a committee, took an awful lot of static, was accused of stacking a committee with only those people who were in favor of making a room, and I denied that, and those people who gave me a bad time and insisted that I was stacking the committee, I really prodded those people. For example, we had one man who was dead set against that building and said that he would come down to a meeting and he'd fight me every step of the way. And I told him it's fine for him to come down to Minions and then leave and choose not to attend meetings. If he wanted to come to meetings, I'll recognize him at a meeting. If he doesn't come down, I won't recognize him from the floor.
Why was there opposition to that new room?
Didn't want to spend the money.
Oh.
The standard answer. He said, all right then, if that's the way you're going to be, I'm going to be in charge of the carpeting because I just put new carpeting in my store. I said, fine, you're the chairman of the carpeting committee. And this is how I established my committee. With people who were opposed as well as those who were for the new room. And all in all, eventually we all got to working together and enjoyed the meetings, choosing colors, choosing carpeting, choosing paneling.
Were the women
and
involved
like.
in this too?
Men and women both. We were fortunate in that Zacharias was able to get us bricks to match the existing building, and we proceeded. And so that was quite a battle.
Can you tell me what year that might have been?
It's during my tenure, Art, but I don't remember my years.
So you were just president for one
I was president for, I think it was 3 years.
But that's the only time you were president?
Yeah.
So I can check the dates on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
The other issue we had was, once again, a rabbi issue. Rabbi Steve Wetzman. Should I go into that?
Yeah, sure.
Steve Wetzman was a very, very likable young man. Liked by both the congregation as well as the community at large. Terrific piano player. The children loved him. And we had the normal situation where people liked them, people disliked them, which is what we do to our rabbis. We have a tendency to do with our rabbis. We did not have a split in the congregation. We dealt with whatever problems arose, and life moved on. Until one day, I had a visit at my office from Rabbi Wetzman, and he said, "Can I come in?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Can I close the door?" And again, I said, "Yes." And he said, "I'm getting divorced from my wife." And I said, "Rabbi, I think we're on the wrong side of the desk here. I'm not equipped to handle this." So he said, this is something we have to do. I said, "Rabbi, how long are you married?" He said, 14 years. I said, "What seems to be the problem?" He said, "Well, my wife, first of all, is up on the 6th floor at the hospital, and they have a list of attorneys up there," which I found hard to believe, but who knows. Anyway, I said, "What is the problem?" He said, "I want a family and she doesn't." I said, "How long are you married?" He said, 14 years. I said, "Is this the first time you've had this discussion with your wife?" He said, "No, but I thought I could convince her." I said, "I don't have an answer for you, Rabbi. I really don't have an answer. You've come to the wrong man."
What did he expect you to do?
I guess he thought he had to talk to somebody, and the guy to talk to was the president. But I didn't have any answers for him. I'm not equipped that way.
Of course.
I didn't take that course of study. Anyway, came time for his vacation. At that time, our rabbis took a month vacation. They took it all at one time. So the rabbi went away on vacation, did not stay in touch with me, not even a periodic call to see if there was anything going on, anything he should know, anything I need to know. I felt badly about that. When he did come back, he did not call me immediately, but I got a call from our then janitor, Orietta Hoke, and Orietta said, "The rabbi's back." I said, "Well, I wonder why he didn't call me." She said, "Do you know that he's got a girl over there in the house with him?" And I said, "I didn't know that, Orietta." I said, "But I'll be right there." So I dropped the brand. I went over, the rabbi saw me coming and jogged across the lawn from the house to the synagogue and said, "Hello there, how are you?" And I said, "Don't how are you me. Do you have a girl in that house?" He said, "These are different times." I said, "Don't tell me I have a calendar. I know what year it is." I said, "Do you have a girl in that house?" "Well, yeah, but." I said, "No, but. I want her out of there, and I want her out of there today." He said, "You don't understand." I said, "No, Rabbi, you don't understand. But these are different times. You're old-fashioned." I said, "Don't tell me how old I am. But let me make this clear to you, Rabbi. That's our house, not your house. I want her out of that house. Now." Rabbi Wetzman and this lovely young lady moved to the then Penn Stroud Hotel, which is now the Best Western. And they moved in together. And I made a move toward, I think it's time to get rid of Rabbi Westman. And those people who are not in the know, those people who do not normally come to meetings, those who only come to the high holidays, they don't know the day-to-day things that go on at the temple. So ultimately those people considered me the bad guy because how can you do this? He's the nicest guy in town. And on the outside he was. Terrific young man. So I had to make people understand why I was not the bad guy. Steve had a problem staying in touch. When he would jog, I would ask Jack Birnbaum, if the rabbi's jogging by, would you please ask him to call me? My wife at that time worked at the mall. Arleen, if you see the rabbi in the mall, would you please have him call me? It was tough for me to have any kind of rapport with Rabbi. Nice enough young man, but he didn't stay in touch. He had a lot of fun with the kids at Hebrew school. Too much fun, in fact. I found that I had to leave my place of business in the afternoon and patrol the hallways in order to maintain any kind of decorum in Hebrew school.
Was he the only teacher?
These are a lot of the things that people were never aware of. I had to expel a kid from Hebrew school who broke a skylight in the temple. If you're very, very active, you're aware of these things. If you're not, you become the temple's worst critic. And this is what went on, and this is what continues to go on.
Problems never seem to change.
Never. The people change. The problems don't.
When you were president during those 3 years, what would you say would be your biggest accomplishment?
Biggest accomplishment was adding that room, leaving office with a full oil tank and a checkbook with black ink.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, do you remember any particular rabbi? And I guess you kind of answered that question.
Well, I remember several rabbis. I don't remember their names or their tenures, but we've been through a lot of rabbis. The ones that made the biggest mark on me, of course, were Rabbi Kurt Weimer and Steve Westman, because those were the people I was most involved with.
I always heard Westman was such a popular man. In fact, I think he came to visit Stroudsburg a few years ago, and a whole bunch of people went to meet him for breakfast.
Oh yeah, when people that go to Florida meet with him all the time.
He now is in Florida.
Yeah. When our son was bar mitzvahed, it was at the time when Steve Westman was being hired, when Ira was preparing for his bar mitzvah. Steve Westman came up here, interviewed my son, saw where he was with his Hebrew, went back to Philadelphia, where he was an assistant rabbi in a large synagogue, prepared a tape for Ira, sent us the tape, and Ira studied first from a tape. And eventually, with Rabbi Westman, as I said earlier, did the whole Friday night service and the Saturday service, the whole thing. So really, he was a good teacher. He was a good teacher. He couldn't maintain discipline, but he did a terrific job when he really put his mind to it.
And your son did a great performance.
Oh yeah, terrific.
Well, Arthur, I don't want to push you too much because I know you're not in 100% shape right now. So we'll stop here, and if there's another time we can talk, we'll do that. I appreciate your time. Finally, we were able to get together, and I hope you feel better.
Thank you.